What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Huddle, your weekly playbook helping you gain forward progress in your career. Simply put, we're here to help you win. For our new viewers, welcome to the team and talking about winning. We have a great episode today. Ms. Lisbeth Calandrino, if I said that correctly, with
Nice.
me with us today, and Jose Gonzalez Daniels, speaking of winning, is out on a pre-bid conference and out there trying to win some projects. Today's topic is talking all things about networking, how it plays into the success of your career, and how you can do it as an installer. And we'll also hit on some higher level stuff on, what businesses and company owners. We're all company owners. If you're a independent flooring installer, you own a company. But I mean, full service flooring contractors, those kinds of things, what we can do. So, Liz, welcome to the Huddle. Nice to have you
Hey,
today.
thank you. I like your setup. This is the first time I've seen Restream, but it's good. I like it.
Yeah, it's nice. It's we've tried a few different platforms over the 2+ years that we've been running on the Huddle, and this is by far my favorite as well. So, nice platform, and
Easy to use for dumb people
easy to
like me,
use.
that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Thank you.
If you're just joining us, please hit that like, subscribe, give us some love, and follow us on YouTube, all the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the above. So, Liz, let's get an introduction from you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and little bit about who you are and what you're doing today.
Okay, so I really come from the trades. I was in the carpet and furniture business for 20 years. I started in the late 90s, as a matter of fact, with my sister. And we decided that we needed to go into business because we'd come from, my father was a carpenter, my uncle was a cabinet maker, the other one was a bricklayer, and they all came from Italy, and they were hot. I'm telling you, they were just high flying guys. But I was on job sites ever since I was 6. They didn't have kindergarten when I was little. So my dad took me and he would ask me questions about customer service. And suppose we break this, would we fix it? How do you take care of this? And then he would let me in his office, and his little office in our little house in the country, and I would go through his bills, and he'd go, "What are you doing?" I'd say, "Daddy, I'm adding up your bills, and you don't add right." And he went, "Really? What do I do wrong?" And I said, "Well, you overcharged all your customers." I was 9. And he said, "Let me tell you the first rule about business." I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but I will. He said, "My customers are a funny bunch. We decide on a price, I do the work, and then we get all done, and they go, 'I don't want to pay you that much.'" He said, "If we already agreed to do it, you've probably been there, but all of a sudden it just seems like too much money because maybe you did it too fast. They have a feeling if you can do it fast, there's something wrong with you. Not that, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Moonstruck. Did you ever see that movie Moonstruck? Do you remember where Cosmo goes into the person's house, and he tells her it's like $80 or something, and she says, "All you did was tap on the pipes?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, but I know where to tap," right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. So my father said, "Well, here's how it goes. What I do is I make a mistake when I add up the bill. I usually overcharge them." Now I'm 9 listening to this. He said, "So I charge them a couple $100, and they'll do the math, and they'll go." He says, "Because my customers all think they're smarter than me. I'm just a carpenter." And he said, they go, "I'm not paying you a dime over what this bill should have been." And so I give up a little, "Oh, well, I don't know." He said, "We're not paying you anymore." He said, "Then I get my price." So the first rule of business that I learned is that even when you show your value, it doesn't always work. Like, you have to work really hard and you have to be maybe cunning. Maybe cunning is the word, but you have to be smart, and you have to really understand how your customer thinks. And that's the whole thing about networking, like understanding your customer. About 20 years ago, the Stone Association hired me to go talk to their customers. So one of the first things I went to Toronto, Canada, to work with fabricators. And they said, well, what do you want to talk about? And I said, well, what do you want me to talk about? We don't know, but they need help. So I said, how about I teach fabricators how to get more business? This was in maybe middle 90s. I don't know. But I had 35 fabricators. Of course, I didn't even know what the word meant, to be honest, because I wasn't in the stone business. But I explained to them how they could network and how they could be online. And they're like looking at me, what in the world is online? In the 1990s, when they started talking about online, somebody wrote a book, and the book was all about that the internet will never be important to us. He said, you think people are going to take a computer to the beach to read their racy novels? No, they're not carrying one of those things to the beach. Now we just take our phones, right? And we read everything. But it's how do you figure out, it's called an inflection point. How do you determine the next inflection in a business? Because there's nothing out there that will show you that, and I'm going into my networking with this, but nothing out there will show you that something is coming along. So if you think about the cars that we have today, you know, people would say, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we had a car that would drive us around, and we got old and we wouldn't have to ever touch the car, but we'd be driving and somebody else would do it. Well, that came out it was 2016, I think. And you know, people said, oh, that's crazy. And then they tried it and, you know, it didn't really work. And there were accidents and all kinds of things. And people said, oh, that'll never work. Well, the thing about inflection is that you can't see the trends. You only see how the trends work is you go, oh, that'll never happen, to, my God, is that really happening? To, oh, my heavens, I have to catch up. So the whole thing is to figure out what you see or what your customer wants in the long run, and who are your partners. And I think in our industry, we haven't been good with that. Now, I had 10 crews, and I had 7 stores. We were out every day. And once a month, I did training with my installers. I had somebody come in. I paid them for the day. It wasn't as much as they could make on a job, but they said, okay, once a month, and you're doing 1 day a month, and you're going to teach us. He was going to teach us new products. It's funny, he worked in the prison, and he was an ex-installer, and he was really good. And we would come in, and they would learn all kinds of new things that they needed, because in my world, they were my partners. I think what retailers don't understand a lot of times, without installation, there's no business, because products. I just went out looking for carpet for my stairs. I was never so depressed. So much crap looked exactly alike. It was like nothing's changed. And so I'm looking at this stuff, it all looks alike. And I'm thinking, you know, it's no better than it ever was. So it's kind of like, how do you figure out, you know, what you should be doing, and how do you become a partner with your installers? So I don't think retailers realize that until it's installed, it's nothing. They all look exactly alike. So
yeah.
One of the things is to begin to understand what your customer wants. Now, your customer, you think, is your retailer, whoever hires you. But if you could look past that, and you could go out and begin to look around, you can see what customers want. Now, you probably remember when nobody ever thought that Home Depot would do anything. Who would go to Home Depot? Oh, my heavens. You know, nobody knows anything. Now you look at the stupid commercial. You've seen the commercial where the guy says, is this pet proof? You've seen that commercial at Home Depot? And the guy says, well, my dog likes this. Well, we never thought, and I used to do training at Home Depot in 1997. I worked for Mohawk at the time, and they said, well, you have to teach them floor covering. And I went, oh my God. And, you know, they were eager to learn. It's just nobody wanted that job. It's just too much work, you know. But again, it's the agreement we have with the retailer that's really going to make you successful. And I think in many ways, you've got to be able to educate the retailer. Now, let me tell you what I mean by that. So where is
let me ask a quick follow up question here. You're talking to the installer about educating the retailer, and so just to kind of set it up a little bit.
Yep, we think the retailer thinks, oh, I'm the one that's going to tell them what I need done because I got all the products. The thing is that the installer, and I think he's a craftsperson. I never used that word when I was in business. I called them craftspeople who install. My uncle was a cabinet maker, but if you called him a carpenter, he went nuts. He said,
Yeah.
I am a cabinet maker. My father said, oh, you're just an old, you just know how to use a hammer, for God's sake. He goes, no, I'm a craftsman, and I'm a cabinet maker. So the thing is to understand, where is the opportunity in this world? And I'm going to give you a couple of things that I only know from me. I work with realtors. I teach realtors. And the thing that is so hot in this country, which I think for floor covering craftspeople, is aging in place. Now, I want to talk to you about what the aging, maybe you already know, but with the aging in place phenomena, we're trying to keep people in their houses because there's no place to go. That's the first thing. You sell your house, and then what are you going to buy? You haven't got enough money to buy anything to live anywhere. And so the question is, how do we make homes age proof? We have new kinds of products that go on the floor, that go underneath carpeting, that can tell you how long somebody has stood on that floor, whether they've fallen out of bed. There's all kinds of new products, and you know about curbless showers and things like that. But I think that, because floor covering is pretty boring. Unless it's installed, it's just, there it is on my stairs. They all look alike. I had 10 samples in my house. I couldn't carry them. They were huge like this, and they were heavy. And I said, no, you just got to go figure out one. And I said, what do I care? I'll take one, put it home, and that's the end of it, right? If it's good enough, it'll be good enough. But anyway, going back to the aging phenomena that's going on in this country, we're going to have more old people than we ever have. We're living longer than ever before. And if we get those cars to drive us around, then we're they're good. We can, we won't have to worry about a thing. And we can talk to Siri, and we can talk to Alexis. We can say, turn the lights on, turn the lights off, put me in bed, get my lunch. We're good forever, or at least another 20 years. So looking at the aging phenomena, what does that mean for an installer? And I'm kind of go out of the box a little bit with what you do. So you can take classes that have to do with aging, which means you can go in and assess a house. Now, I go in and assess them for not flooring. I can do flooring too, but I'll go out and assess them for doorways, how big doorways have to be, how big showers, how low the cabinet should be. But imagine if you could add that, and you could become aging specialists in your business. Now you go, well, we do floors. Well, here's the thing. We all do what we did, but you got to stop doing what you did, because you don't know when the trend is coming. That's what's called inflection. You don't know when it's coming. It's like the guy who wrote the book and said, nobody's going to sit on the beach and read their novel on their computer. And what do we all do? We do everything, right? And nobody's going to turn the lights on in the house for you, right? So anyway, I sort of got away from going to Canada and talking to fabricators. One of the things that a lot of them were really interested in was being online. And nobody was ever online. But I started talking about that, and they went, oh, can you teach us about that? And I said, yeah, I can. It hadn't really occurred to me they had. But going back to putting that with the aging and being online, I think one place for you to network is to look at trending, what's going on in the world, and seeing if you can get out of where you are just a little bit so that you can begin to look different. Because when everybody does the same thing, who wins the bid? The lowest price.
Low. Yeah.
Well, they say the lowest responsible bidder. But man, I've been up against some jobs, and somebody got that job ahead of me, and boy, they were not responsible, but it didn't, right? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Well, a lot of times when it comes to this kind of thing, and we're talking about, we've hit on a lot of different topics here, but when it comes to, networking and you find some of these opportunities, like you say, aging in place. I mean, what are we doing right now? The Huddle has been built around a conversation with people. surrounded on flooring, but a conversation with people.
Yeah.
I get to meet people like you, and I've met you at a show before, but I mean, I get to meet people like you on the Huddle. It's a networking. It's a form of networking, and you get to learn things like how the aging in place trend is going to be a it's obvious it's going to be a big trend in the future. What do you suggest to people who want to get around those atmospheres, specifically when you're talking about installers? A lot of us, I'm an old installer myself, so when I installed, like I went and I installed, and then I went home. We if I had one thing I could think back on that kind of helped me was a little bit of networking, and I got to know some designers, and I got to know a really prominent local designer who started giving me all their work, and it was that type of thing that increased my business and allowed me to actually open up an actual full service flooring company. So what do you say to installers? Like, what are some easy ways? We've talked about online. I think that Facebook and those types of deals could be utilized better for networking than it's currently used in the flooring industry, which is us posting our job and then having other people come in and talk crap on it, which seems to be more of the trend. But like networking and getting to know one another, and doing that kind of thing. What's your take on that?
Okay, so going along with that, I was going to get to something very similar to that. But here's the thing. One of the things that now you said you go home. First of all, you're tired when you get home because what you do is a lot of work. Now, I just talk all day long and I could talk well into midnight, so it doesn't matter. But you're physically tired. So to say to you what you want to go out and go to a networking thing, maybe, oh my God, do I have to do that? But okay, so talk about your architect. I think it's you actually showing what you do. I think that if you, let's say you're working with a retailer, and retailers do all of these garden shows and trade shows, right? Spring is coming. They do all of these spring shows and they bring their products. No, they should be bringing an installer, and you should be actually installing in front of the customers and showing what you did. It could be you doing a pattern with a luxury vinyl floor, or you doing terrazzo or something you could actually show, because the customer really buys that. We're not talking about a customer that never saw a piece of carpet anymore, or they know everything we know, but what they don't know is how you get it done. And I think that's the part where your networking has to come in. So if you join a builders association and you say you're on the speaking ticket, whatever they do, and you say, okay, I'm going to do a 2-hour workshop on how to do something, and you're going to actually show it, and you're going to show them the moldings and the transition strips. And here's what I suggest. This would be my father. You make it as intricate as you can make it sound, how hard it is to do what you do, and how we measure this much, and how we match the colors, and we get interior designers, and you bring your paint samples with you. Get one of those big fan decks, open it up and see, now I'm going to have to find something, a transition that looks right with here. What do I use? A marble? And you do the intricacies, because I still think women are the ones buying those floors. If we're looking at retail, look, ceramic tile is one of the worst. If you can't do the transition strips, and if you can't figure out the trim, don't come to my house. I had somebody put a piece of metal in one of my doorways. I said, what are you, nuts? Why would I have a piece of, you just put in a piece of wool carpet. Is that a metal strip, for God's sakes? And I knew the guy. He said, oh, I didn't think you wanted to pay. I think it was marble. I said, this much marble? I think it was $18. I think I can handle it. But I think
Yeah.
for you, it is explaining the intricacies, and maybe you can see now when you go to a trade show like that, you're not working. I get that part. But if you could do some of that kind of networking and go out there and install, because they're going to see, you take a piece of flooring and you look at it, it's just a piece of flooring. But when you put it down and you do the intricacies and you do the moldings and the transitions and all the things you have to go through, then the customer pays. Customers don't pay for sameness. And in my experience, and I don't care, all the retailers can call me, I don't care. The thing is, they don't do that part. They spend a whole lot of time explaining who cares whether it is a nylon or an olefin. Now you're going to say, oh, yeah, big deal. It depends how many people you have in the house. I have me and one cat.
Yep.
And my cat is the biggest fluffy things. And if I tell him to walk on the side and don't walk on the carpet, he'll walk over there. So the point is, how much traffic do you get in your house, and what do you want your house to look like? If you just want a piece of flooring, you go to the Home Depot and you ask the guy, is this pet proof? And he says, I don't know, my dog likes it. No, but the business is not in that end of the spectrum. The business has got to be in the higher end because you won't make any money. That's the same for
Well, I
you.
do, I do, I do like the something you said about the like the spring, the builder shows, all the spring home shows, and these things. Going there and it's an interesting thought here. The retailers go, but what if a group of installers went and built a booth and did an installation deal? Uh, because Go Carrera, which is my company that so I own a commercial flooring company that is we do hotels, hospitals, restaurants, casinos, stuff like that. And then
Nice.
I own Go Carrera, which is soon to be Trade Tap. And Trade Tap is an example, Jose, where I could get some Trade Tap installers at a home show and show like demand Trade Tap, demand transparency, these kinds of things. Um, but the idea is a group of installers or an installer going and showing like demand quality and showing all the intricacies that you do so that when the homeowner goes and buys from a a retailer or something of that nature, that they have um a little bit of consumer demand for good quality installation. Because you're right, Liz, one of the biggest things that we say all the time: the flooring has zero value until it's installed. And you
100%.
can take this same product and have two different installations and have two totally different perceived values based on that installation. Same product, but the way it's laid out, the way the seams are done on the carpet, or the grout joints look, or whatever the scenario, they can have two totally different perceptions of value on the same exact product, and it all bears on the installer and the installation of it. And so I think that's kind of a cool idea to go to a home show. And a lower level networking possibility is installers going to home shows and talking to the retailers and the people that are there and getting to know them and letting them know what you're about and more about your skill set. If you have a profile on our platform, share your information on that, tell them what your skill score is. But promote yourself a little bit through that networking event or that opportunity at a trade show or a home show in your local community. We do also promote heavily that, like, get out to TICE, to Coverings, to CFI's convention, go to the different uh, industry events and get to know some people and network through there. But when you're talking about networking for business, the home show idea is a pretty substantial one.
Well, so
So
here's
I'm
the
I'm definitely
thing.
guilty of attending that to network. I've attended the past few years here or a local one, and I go in there with my backpack with a pocket full of business cards, and I go to all of the retail shops, and are you the owner? You're not the owner, right? This is what we offer, to the contractors. This is who I am. This is what we're about. What are you guys seeing right now? And even the other flooring stores, I go there, and they have the higher end custom flooring stores that only do custom projects, and that I network for the even for the labor side. I did think about doing the, like you had mentioned, the hands-on approach, and maybe displaying some skill sets there, right? And actually just wrote that down, so I'm going to have to see what the cost is, and what what it entails and what it looks like
Okay,
to
let
do
me
something
take you a
like that.
step further so you can do it. So I would partner with a retail store, a bunch of retail stores. I get a penny or a dime off of everything I sell too. What I would do is have somebody help you set that up, and that becomes the focal. Look, think about a home builder. The home builder doesn't take you out and show you. You don't care. You're buying the wood for your house. You know, I don't care what the wood looks like. I just need the house built. Or I'm showing you the granite. Yeah, you pick out the granite, but it doesn't look like anything till it becomes part of the cabinets, or right. So I think that we start at the wrong end. We've always started from the product end and then worked inside. No, my father used to show you these pictures of these houses he did. He didn't show you what he put in there. He just showed you how beautiful it was in the end. So I would work. See, we do TICE. I think there's a mistake in TICE. Here's the mistake. I think there ought to be consumers there. They ought to have a day of consumers where the consumer goes and looks. Now, see, I think it's nice that you go and you show the retailers how good you are and you show each other. That's not getting you as much as you could get if a consumer came by and said, I can't believe you built that with that, and I want that. So if you could find a way to look at a home show and work with the retailer, say, listen, let's look at products that we could install. You do during the day, you do maybe every hour, you do another product, and you show pieces and how you make things look really nice. I think you could really clean up with this. And I think it also differentiates you. It takes your skill level and your thought level to another place. People go, I didn't know that's what happened. I mean, if you look at a landscaper, they don't show you every bush. They show you what all the bushes look like when it's done. You go, I want my place to look like that. You don't care what he put in the corner. Maybe you do, of course, what kind of things. But the point is, we start from the wrong end as retailers. We spend more time promoting our goods that look like nothing. And then the person who's the crafts person goes in, has to argue with the consumer because the floor covering people don't know anything about what you do. They don't know how it gets done. They don't know the intricacies, so they can't upsell it. And listen, a lot of retailers make money in their install. That's the place where they make it, right? Sometimes they'll sell the material at nothing to get it out, and then they're going to find a way to charge. We all have to find a way to show our worth and to make money. Anyway, I would do the thing for architect shows. I would find
Yeah. So on that, I sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to get to some comments. There's been some comments about the Designers Network. And so Jorge was talking about, talking to the local designers, and uh, then Nate Hall had posted asid.org. Uh, that is you'll find your local chapter of your architectural and design firms, and getting in front of them, because they also have architectural and design community events. And so working with them and getting designers to know you, that's a super good way. I know Jorge gets a lot of business that way. It's, as I mentioned early on, one of the things that really helped me grow was working directly with designers, and I still do that today with several. And one last thing is, Jorge had stated that working with retailers, I mean, he says it's better to work with the builder versus the retailer.
Yep.
This can be true. There's some complexities depending on where you're working in the United States with how different builders handle things. If you have the ability and your area demands it, meaning the builder doesn't buy the materials, you may have to purchase materials and labor and be out some money. So there's some risk associated with working directly with the builder. You make sure you have good payment terms and those kinds of things. The one thing with a retailer is typically it's paid out on a weekly basis. So there's good and bad. I don't know if better is the term I would use. It's just understand the difference between working with a retailer versus working with a builder. From a pure amount of money, revenue standpoint, how much you can charge per foot, you're probably going to get more from the builder than you are the retailer, but you're going to get paid on different terms with the builder versus getting paid weekly with the retailer. So there's just considerations there. I did both. And so I was getting paid weekly over here. And then it afforded me to be able to do builder or general contractors work over here and be able to afford to wait for the money as our company matured. So
Yeah, there's
Well,
that aspect.
think about
And
driving business to your retailer. See, we think the retailer drives business to you for a lot of times, right? But when you do these other things, you're actually partnering with the retailer and you're driving business to them also. So if you're out working with an architect or an architect show, if you can get in and you do these things, and then all of a sudden there you are, you're in the driver's seat in a way because you're at the better end of the spectrum. You're able to command more money for them and drive customers to them. See, I don't think that we've seen the industry that way. We're always trying to get the retailer says they do the thing and you come and you do it. No, how about you have as much clout as they do or more. So why not try to drive it the other way a little bit and say, listen, I can get you business, but it won't be for free, but I can get you business. So you find a way to drive the business back in. And if you're out with architects, and let's go back to the aging, because a lot of the builders are aging in place certified builders, and they're all looking for people like that. Now the place is not flooded with them, but there are a lot, because I teach aging in place to realtors, and I bring in the builders, and I bring in the people who do security systems and all those kind of things. But that market, again, remember that whole thing about inflection point. You don't see it till it's there. I'm just telling you something that's in my head. And by the time you see it, it's too late. You're at the bottom of the scale again, competing on price. But yes, interior designers, architects, people who do spec houses, maybe if there's enough money in that for you. But I would look that way. And even if you think about now, how am I going to train my people? What can I do, or where can I get new people? I just wanted to talk a bit about WIOA, which is the workforce innovation money that I happen to have. In 1986, there was a program called Workforce. And what happened was it got changed in 2016. It was for the trades, anybody who needed to train people, right? Okay, in 2016, it actually became the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. And to get that kind of money, you had to prove to them that your trade was worthy. Nobody in our industry has ever done that. And they should have done it a long time ago. It shouldn't have been two crazy people like a friend of mine and I decided, you know what? Let's see if we can get money. It took us 3 years. But we can give money to anybody who wants money to train. You say, we want to teach them this, we want to teach them that. You get me the instructor and I'll get you the money. Now, in order for us to do that, we have to find a community college that has the Workforce Innovation Program. You've probably seen them all over. It says that all you got to do is call a college and say, are you a workforce college? They have electrical programs, plumbing. And they say, yes, I have one tomorrow with the Bronx. For me, the Bronx has got to be a hit because they probably need more people there to go to work. And the Bronx is where tomorrow I have a meeting with them. The point is that you have to keep yourself educated and keep moving. So if you said, we want to be trained on this, so we'll find somebody to train you. The community college says you're approved. We are, yes, we're a company that's approved to have the money, but we don't get the money, and we need somebody to actually put the program out. And then you just go ahead and sign up for your programs. But there's all kinds of ways, and I think those are marketing ploys for you. See, these things help you market. So you go to your interior designer or you go to your architect and you say, we just learned this new thing, or this is something we know is critical to our business. We can see it in the future. It's the aging piece. And this is how we're going to have to do showers. And this is how we're going to have to do this, that, and the other thing. And again, it's that inflection thing. You maybe can't see it. It's like the computer. By the time it gets here, it's too damn late. You go, oh,
yeah.
But you're on the road. Just take it a step further with your interior designers and your architects and your shows.
Yeah, and I think that some of the comments are around the faults of salespeople at retailers. And one of the things that I see as an opportunity where installers can actually make a big difference is taking, similar to what you said, taking people, like getting them business, and you do all the selections with your customer and you make a deal with the retailer that, hey, I want to get my customer into a product. I want a salesperson with me from your
Yes,
store that can give me pricing, but at the same time, I want to work around and make sure that the customer gets what they want and what my customer needs. So Jorge, talks about sales reps at stores falling down on, getting just the appropriate padding because they're trying to push something that is in stock versus
right.
ordering the proper pad. Well, if you are driving that sale and you're just working with, you're the actual customer to the retailer, even though your customer is going to pay the bill, you're acting as a liaison in a way and making sure that they get the right product. And like the this is this is the problem that I see a lot of installers talk about it, that work with retailers, is the salespeople at these retail locations. If they've never been certified through like CFI or something on the flooring, so they understand what they're selling, then they sell something that is, and they, when I say sell something, they present it in a way and they set customer expectations at a level that are impossible to meet by the
Yes,
installer. And then the installer is the one that
Yes.
takes the hit. And I know that's what the big problem is. Like,
yes,
none of us want to be the bad guy because the expectation was not set correctly, and that's part of the sales process. So if you kind of take over that sales process for your customers and you make a deal with a retailer, hey, I'm going to bring people in, I want to meet with your sales staff and see which one I work best with, and then I'm going to request him each time or her each time. And when I come in, I'd like to meet with him, have them meet with me and my client. I'm going to drive the conversation with my client, and we're going to find the
perfect.
best products for you. That kind of a relationship is probably a good way for an installer to circumvent this problem that so many of them have with the retailers, is actually, take the reins of the sell and take your customer in there. And then the customers that go in there and get sold by a salesman, maybe let another installer handle it. But yeah, that's the
I'm gonna jump
and
in on
then you
that
can
too, Paul.
also make a design fee, typically a little rebate back from that retailer as
Yep,
well on the sale of the flooring. So it's a twofold thing. You're going to make a little bit of money. I know plenty of
So
designers that do this thing, and so you just kind of take in that you're stepping in that place. Tell me what your thoughts are there, Jorge
so
or Jose. Sorry, I got Jorge on the
it's,
mind.
it's with a J. It's with a J. You're halfway there. So it's a little odd the conversation and where it went today and how what we're talking about because today I actually talked to two installers from the past. Right, one of them still installing, the other one's been out of the game for just over 3 years now, and it was weird to bump into them. And what the part of the conversation right now, what we're just talking about, is what pushed him away from the industry. Now, the reason we met back up is because now his daughter has taken over like the binding and the serging and the rugs portion of it, and we've brought a couple of jobs her way recently, and she was like, and I finally went to her place, and she was like, yeah, my dad shops right next door. I was like, what? Really? So I called him as I was leaving. He was like, are you in the white truck? I was like, yeah. He was like, come on in, man. So he gave me a tour of what he's doing now, and he's doing well for himself, and he's applying his skills. But what we just said and the lack of communication and understanding of the processes and the false promises from the sales aspect is what pushed him out. He wanted so badly to be a salesperson and sell solutions, but every
yes,
place that he went to, because he was an installer, right? He's a proprietor, and he did high end residential, high end commercial. Like
yep,
he's really good at what he does, and he understands the science behind everything. And every time he went to go get off his knees in a sales position at a company, it was never about being a solutionist, it was always about sell, sell, sell. You can
That's
sell
why
more. You can sell more. He's like, but I can't make them promises that we can't keep. We don't have the right installers for what you're asking me to do.
that's where
And he's
that
like,
hybrid model kind of works better, right?
yeah,
Don't try to go get a sales position. Make a deal with 2 or 3 retailers that, hey, I'm going to bring clients in here. I want to meet with your salespeople. I'm going to pick one, and that's going to be my salesperson when I come in here. And I'm going to pick out the flooring with my client, walk around. All I need the salesperson for is a for your pricing. And so that I can work that out. And then what I would expect back is 10 or 15% rebate back off of the sale on every sale that I bring in here. And then I'm going to handle the installation. So you don't have to handle the installation either. I'm going to sell and install the entire project. That is a really good model for an installer to follow with a retailer, especially. And this is an upper end guy. This is not, I don't mean upper end like only doing $1 million homes or something. I just mean somebody who's skilled at the trade, really good.
Classy.
A, yep. And B, has some professionalism to them and understand how to talk to clients. And
it's so
if you're
weird.
the guy that's just going to go install, that's fine too. But this is just for a demographic that really understands that I want to make sure my client gets the right stuff. I want to take them in and have them buy the product. I'd rather do that for my client than say, hey, just go pick something out at Home Depot or Florida Core or Lowe's or whatever, or go find a retailer, because the salesman's going to sell what they have in the
Oh,
warehouse. That's
yes,
what they're
yes.
going to do. That's what they're incentivized to do.
They're incentivized to
And
make the sale on the product that they could generate the most margin, right? And that's
Well,
why
and
they
you
yeah,
have to
and
be
that's going to be the product
uh,
that they
yeah.
stock. And so if you can just you take the reins of the wholesale, take them into a retailer, and retailers are not going to tell you no. I mean, I'm not going to say none of them would, but for the most part, you're just saying, look, I'm going to come in, I'm going to bring a client with me, I'm going to show them the product, they're going to pay for it right then. I'm going to come pick up the product from you and install it. I want a 15% rebate on the sale of the material, and I need a salesman just only. I'll do the measuring, I'll do the figuring, I'll take responsibility for that. That's why I get a 15% margin. And then I'm going to do the installation because I want it done right. And so you don't have to do any of the scheduling or any of that. I will tell you when I'm going to come pick up the material and go install the product. So it really takes a big burden off the retailer. So a lot of times they like that kind of scenario, but you got to be willing to, put on the clothes and go have that conversation, or go to the home show and have that conversation.
You
Okay,
just
how
explained
about
a template
networking?
that
Let's go
Daniel and I
back.
created on accident. That's
Yeah.
how we accidentally created that. Just like not under though all those details, but that is exactly how we built our relationships.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
How
All right,
about,
Liz, tell us about networking.
okay, no, you're
yeah.
talking about network. How about you do this? So now you're going to have a relationship with the salesperson. Here's another way to do that. Talk about networking. When I was in business, none of my salespeople were allowed to talk to anybody until they went out with an installer. You had to go out with an installer for a week. And I don't mean
I
stand
like
around
that.
getting the coffee. I mean, what you had to do was you had to be cleaning up. You had to be figuring out what you needed to do, where the scraps went, how not to leave the tackless around, because we did a lot more carpet in those days. But I would work with the salespeople. Say to the retailer, send me a salesperson on a job. Now he takes a picture. See, I'm a salesperson. I'm new. I sell this product. I go out with you. I watch you install it. I take all these pictures of you installing and videos, and I put them up. Now I've marketed you and I've marketed our store. See, it's that relationship that we need to really build with whoever we're working for. How can I help them do business? I think we all have to think that way. See, I'm thinking, how can I help you do business, right? That's my job today. I can tell you what I've done and how I've done it. You don't care. You want to know if I've got something for you. We all think about what's in it for me. So if you can, hey, the retailer, look, let me take your person out. We're going to install that product for him. I'm going to show him the intricacies. Then we're going to post them all over the internet. We're going to put them on your Instagram. We're going to put them on every place you want to put it. Now, the salesperson now has more confidence in what they're selling and they understand it better. And they say, okay, now I know where the problems are before they have one, you know? And so I would work backwards. Your idea of working with the salesperson is great, no matter how you want to do it. But there is another way, which is to get them out on your jobs as part of their gig. And you say, I'm going to show them I'm going to show them what to do. And look, you can always say to the retailer, listen, you know, the more I show them, the less screw ups they're going to have and the less money you're going to lose and I'm going to lose. Because bottom line, we're all losing. If I'm short, if we don't have the right transitions and we don't have the right moldings, we're all have a mess here. So I think those are good things. And you know, what you're talking with the salesperson and the retailer. Now, if you're doing the big hospitality stuff, maybe it's you going to the hospitality show too and doing a gig there, because those are the people that are going to have to pay, right? And they're going to be huge repeat customers for you. If you're talking about clothing, if you're talking about all the kinds of products they now have to use. I spoke last year at ISSA, which is it's environmentally friendly. And these are people that do commercial cleaning. I spoke at their show about how to get more business and how they could actually use WIOA to train their people. Think about that show as a place that you can go. And again, you could work that through an architect. You say, listen, I think I'd like to do a couple of shows. What ones do you think I can do? And how can I help you do business? Again, we're looking out for somebody else. And once you start thinking that way, it'll come back to you. You know, if we're out looking for work all the time, it's kind of hard to see our value. We're just like anybody else. But if we can say, let me come out, I'll show you a way you can sell this better. Now, I sometimes still get appointments for architects with retailers to bring them in because I know a lot of them. And I have brought in installers because the architect will be telling me, this is the way it goes. And I'll say, with all due respect, when was the last time you were on a job? You have no way you know how that goes. Simple as that. And so I bring in an installer, a craftsperson, and I make sure I said, stop with your installers. Everybody installs, all these people installs, but they're craftspeople. And if you want it done so that it looks like a craft, that's who you should be hiring. So again, your networking, I would look a little, different shows.
Yeah.
I'm writing down a lot. I have 2 pages of notes right now. I hardly ever have that much notes off of a show.
Oh, good. I hope we were good.
Jose, what do you think? Also networking with other installers in your area, not just going to the place, doing the job and calling it good, but CFI's got a big push for the local chapters, and that's beneficial. I know that some of those, there's various skill sets within those chapters, and so people have different things. I hope that they're sharing in those chapters. Hey, I've got a project that's got hardwood on it. I can get the whole job, but I do tile or I do carpet and vinyl, but I don't do hardwood. And is there one of you guys a hardwood guy? And you can get some through that network. Even you can get some business and help each other out. What are your thoughts around that?
So that is one of the things I wrote down. Like I wrote down a couple of places about the home shows, get with architects and designers, and then one of the notes I have right here is with other installers, right? Like not just my installers, not just us, but with other installers. It is under what you just said there. Like I want someone who is proficient in wood installation, who is proficient in hard surface, who specializes in showers, right? I want that person there. Like the goal for me is not to advocate for just me. The goal for me would be to advocate for the industry and say that
yes,
we are all here to help you get connected with the right person for the right project. And
Yeah.
that's what I wrote down. Is like that'd be a great way to not only say, let's team up, gentlemen. Like you're really good at that.
That's
really
one
good
of
at
the
that.
benefits I see when you're doing those kinds of things. I know that at CFI convention, I hear plenty of guys talking to one another about jobs they're doing. And then I see on Facebook a few weeks later, they're working together on hotel project or a something project. And I mean, it's pretty cool. Daniel, our co-host, what's up, brother? Good to see you joining us. But yeah, I think that you, the more you can get out, and I get it because we're working a lot. That's where we make our money.
Right.
But there's also other opportunity to make a higher profit on your labor than just working all the time. And if you get so bogged down with that you don't take a half day once a month, or a half day a couple times a month, to just commit that to going out and networking with other installers. Maybe just set up a time to meet at the local, Chili's or whatever, and have a drink together and discuss projects and who can help how, uh, you know, that type, all the way to going to the trade shows and going to the home shows. And I really do like the idea of going to a home show and really setting up a booth as an installer and showing your skill set, and then going around handing out cards as well to the
I like
retailers. But I
like that idea too.
I do think there's something to teaming up with the retailer. You said it plenty of times, Liz, about how can I help you do business? And that is
Yeah.
one way you can really help a retailer do business and do it better. That homeowner that you take in is going to have a better experience if they have you as an installer, as a trade professional. They're with them, guiding them to make sure they get the right product. You 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 do a little bit of know your customer, I guess, is what I'm trying to get out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And their traffic patterns. They got 6 kids and 2 dogs, and spills everywhere, and so making sure they get the right product. You understand their subfloor, and you understand their door swing and their door heights, and all these things. And I also like something really valuable you said about specifically kind of honing in on this age in place and becoming an expert there, because that's another piece of business that you can really, you know, team up and take new business to a retailer that
Yeah.
really doesn't understand. There's a handful of architects and designers that are doing this, but
Yeah.
you'd be surprised how big of a need that's going to be. Like you said, an inflection point. You don't see it until it's too late, and then you're trying to catch up. Now is the time to start learning that and really get ready.
That's good. The fact that, the retailer spends a lot of time trying to figure out, I don't need to spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to get business. They figure out how to put their product out. I think there's a whole difference between me showing my product and me getting business. And I think
Hmm.
most of the time it's, I got to get my product. No, the whole thing is, what does my customer want? That's why I think that Tice should have a half a day, where you present your skills and you work with a manufacturer and show how a product gets installed. Because then the consumer says, oh, I should be paying attention to that. And the picky ones will, and the ones who want to spend more money will look at those kind of things. So the more ways you can think of, how do I get you business? Because in return, if you can help them, and you're out there, right? So you're out there, you're in houses, you see what the mess is going on in there. You know that I'll never forget. I'll never forget this till I die. I installed white carpeting in a house. I'll never forget it. And I used to tell a customer, nobody gets white carpeting. They would say, I want white. And I go, I'm sorry, nobody gets white carpeting because you'll ruin it. Well, we did the job and we told them to get the dog. Well, the dog got out and the dog stepped in the tackless. And before we got out of the house, there was blood all over the carpet, right? I swear I'll never, ever forget that. It's things like that that you can help your retailer salesperson with. The more you can work with them, the more money you're going to make, and the less money everybody's going to lose. Again, post everything online. And you know what? Can you write an article? Go online, go to Chat GPT, write an article on 500 words, write your article in whatever kind of language you use. That's what I do. And then I give it to Chat and say, okay, fix it. And then put it up there. Like if you could give that to a retailer, say, hey, how about we post something on installation? I can get you,
Yeah.
300 words on whatever this kind of how to build what do you call it, shower, how to build, some kind of a shower, whatever, you get a wheelchair through, how big the doors have to be, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And post a picture with it. That's networking.
Yep.
Well, I want to add to what you just said too about you're helping and you're creating a relationship, a partnership, so to speak. Um, so on using that, and just to add to it for the installers out there, just kind of like a buyer beware. Make sure that your values and the sales team that you partner up with, make sure that they do align first. I will say that um, learning experience for Daniel and I is creating those relationships and bringing success to these companies that didn't really, they saw opportunity, not value, right? So the opportunity was for us to help create relationship with clients, so that way there was negotiated work left on the table for them, and the client was under the impression that it was going to be us doing the install. So fast forward a little bit, we eventually got phased out, but they got accustomed to what we were charging in our dollar amounts, and then found someone else who was similar but didn't have to pay out. So just make sure that the values do align, so that way you don't get taken advantage of it and investing years into creating relationships that um, might not see your value. And they only see the opportunity for their
Yeah.
future. So
Bad
Yeah.
marriage. Had a bad marriage.
Yeah.
yes.
Getting a clear understanding up front with your partners. But when you're bringing enough value to them, like, you just want to have, I don't know if I would marry any retailer in these scenarios. Just date them.
Yeah, is
and
marriage
go
still
to
in? Is marriage
go
still in,
to
or isn't it just dating? I
yeah,
think
just
marriage is
date
out.
them, and make sure you don't get too deep. But your brother touched on, with a comment. He said, "The more money I can make them, the more money
One
they'll
man
pay me."
thing.
Yes.
So that's a
True.
valuable comment and true. And if you and then Nate says, conversely, if you stop putting money in the pockets, they will stop whittling you checks. I think he meant writing you checks. So the I think his comment is, in the bottom line, is kind of like that, not marrying them, but going into these locations, and whether it's a flooring company or a retailer, and building those relationships, see how you can make them more money, but also always look out for your bottom line as well. So with that, we have come up at the end of the podcast
Right.
already. It's amazing
I
how much
know.
time, how fast time goes. So it's been a real interesting conversation, and I think a lot of value. There's a lot of nuggets there for people to go out and network and earn more. Than Like, I really think that earning more per project, and not ripping people off, but like, our trade is behind on what it should be paid versus 1995 when I
Not much
started
different.
installing. And
Yeah.
I
Hold on.
I
NSA.
started subcontracting in 99, and in 99 I was getting paid about 275 a yard to $3 a yard, depending, to lay commercial carpet. And today it's about 50 cents to a dollar maybe difference. And so we have to build the value in the installation. And one of the ways is, like, becoming more professional, and that's kind of what networking and building relationships can do for you. So Liz, I really appreciate you today. It's been a great conversation. Thank you for all your knowledge and your
Thank you both.
energy. It's been
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much. I want to tell everybody in the audience, thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for all the comments. I would look forward to some more comments on social media. So if you catch us on there, please give us a like, a subscribe, give us some comments on there. Let us know, what you took from this conversation in particular the most, and how you may implement that in your business. Catch us on YouTube as well. and all of the podcast platforms. With that, we are going to sign off for this week, and we'll catch you guys next week. Same time, same place, 3:00 p.m. Central, right here every Tuesday. Sorry. And if you're in Jose's area of the world, it's 4:00. So
Mine
catch
too.
us. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today, and
Thank you,
we'll see you
everyone.
guys next week.
Thank you for all your insight.